Okay.
Hi.
Yeah, they were.
Okay, I think we're about there, huh?
Now it is.
You mic'd up?
They were green, yeah. I turned mine off, actually.
We had Lucas and Charlie Friday, Saturday. Can you believe this? Joel was celebrating his 10th wedding anniversary in Nashville. 10 years.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. You can get rid of this guy, right? This continuation.
Yeah, do that. I would do it presently. Okay,
It was Paul. Paul's the guy who had it.
okay, 7 o'clock.
Nick, you won't see Paul anymore.
Well, thank you, everyone, and welcome to the September 25th meeting of the Orland Park Planning Commission. If everybody would rise for the pledge. Yeah, it should be talking in it. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First thing I'll do is I'll call the roll. I'm Chairman Nick Parisi, present. Paul Aubin.
Present.
John Paul.
Present.
Dave Shalaby.
Present.
Ed Schusler.
Present.
Patrick Zamparelli.
Present.
Laura Murphy is absent. Okay. So I'll make a motion to open the public hearing portions of our meeting.
Don't we want to do the minutes first?
That would be a good idea.
I'd move that the minutes of September 11th, 2018 be approved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second by Commissioner Paul. Commissioner Zamparelli?
Aye.
Commissioner Aubin, any changes?
No, aye.
Commissioner Shalaby?
Aye.
I accept them as they stand. Thank you. So now I'll make a motion that we open the public hearing with the Waterfall Subdivision Plaza project. I need approval to open the public hearing. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Where's that? Okay. All right. I move to continue file number 2018-0330 Waterfall Plaza subdivision to the October 23rd of 2018 Plan Commission meeting.
Second.
Okay, make the motion, seconded by Commissioner Shalaby. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, okay. I would ask at this time, I'm sorry,
Close that first public hearing, Chairman? Close the first public hearing that you opened?
Well, you gotta do them
do we
individually.
have individually?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll move to close the Waterfall Plaza subdivision
I
public
have a
hearing.
motion to close the waterfall.
Second.
And a second by Commissioner Shalaby. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nobody opposed? Okay, very good. I move to open public hearing 2018-0543, workout anytime special use permit.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Aubin. All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor, okay. Before we move forward, I would ask that anybody who's going to speak tonight on any of these motions, if you would stand, and I will swear you all in at the same time rather than do it individually. So if you would all do that, and then if you do wish to speak, at that time we'll call you up and ask you your name and address. So if you would all stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth that matters before this commission? You do. Thank you very much. Okay, so now we'll open the hearing on workout anytime special use permit. Steph? It's not, I don't think it's on, no. Any of them?
That's the one.
There you go.
All right. Thank you. All right. This is the public hearing for item number 1, or I'm sorry, number 2 on our agenda. Workout Anytime Fitness. I just want to confirm really quickly before we begin the staff presentation that all of the notices were sent in accordance with state law and village code, as well as the publication in the newspaper. The petitioner did give us an affidavit confirming that he did the required notices on his part, which are the mailings and the posting of the public hearing notice sign. You can see on the screen here and also in your packet, there is an aerial image of the location. This is at the Park Hill Plaza and on the west side of the main strip building to the north of the site. The proposed location is just under 6,000 square feet, and the reason we're here tonight is they're requesting a special use permit to have a health club / fitness center in a space larger than 5,000 square feet. So they just barely exceed that at 5,948 square feet in this particular tenant space. Here's another view, a more 3D view, so you can see this is a one-story building. There are several other tenants east of this, the closest one being Clothes Mentor, which is a resale clothing and accessory store. And further down the line, there are several restaurants and other personal service type uses. There are a few outlots to the south of this, a Jiffy Lube, a Culver's, and a McDonald's. And then you have 159th Street to the south. There's a pond to the north and a residential subdivision as well to the north, and some automotive service type uses to the west. As I mentioned, this is in the Park Hill Plaza Commercial Center, which is the Biz zoning district. The petitioner's address is 9234 to 9240 159th Street. Again, just under 6,000 square feet for this particular tenant space. It is in the 159th and Harlan Planning District, and the land use is classified in the comprehensive plan as community commercial, and the zoning, again, is biz. And they're proposing a health club / fitness center type use. Again, south of them is 159th Street, and east of them is Park Hill Drive. They're currently in the Plan Commission stage, which is under due process. Following this, they will need to go to our Development Services Planning and Engineering Committee for a recommendation and the Village Board of Trustees for final approval or denial. Following that, there'll be an ordinance approval, authorizations and building permits, construction and inspections, and final closeout. Here are some photos of the site. The landlord recently did some facade paint work to improve the look of the building, so you can see that new blue color on top there. They were actually still working on the paint when I took some of these pictures, so it might not be the final product, but you get an idea of how the new look is for that building. So again, they are on the end of that building, and they will take up all of the space that you see here that's vacant before the Clothes Mentor sign. And couple other quick facts about this particular type of business. They do have several other locations in Illinois as well as throughout the nation. They are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They have locations in Darien, Crest Hill, and Downers Grove, which are the ones closest to us, as well as over 180 other locations in this country. And they are looking to have their gym in this particular location. And again, the special use permit is required because it is more than 5,000 square feet. Parking-wise, we did study the parking as well as the other tenants in the shopping center. There's shared parking throughout, and the petitioner does have 18 parking spaces directly south of their tenant space. Their requirement is 31 parking spaces when you assume one employee staffing the gym, and the requirement for one space for 200 square feet of tenant space per our code. So because of the shared parking in the shopping center, they are able to meet this parking requirement. As for the special use standards, staff did provide some draft responses in the staff report. So I just want to go over our standards really quickly for you for the record. For standard number 1, staff said that the land use is a commercial use and complies with the village's comprehensive plan, which calls for community commercial land uses on this site. The proposed project does not include any changes to the site and does not include any requests or modifications from village codes. For standard number 2, the Park Hill Plaza development has existed for more than 30 years, and workout anytime is consistent with the commercial nature of the area. For number 3, the petitioner is not proposing any design changes to the property except for new tenant signage. All new signage will meet the village's sign code, which we're very familiar with. The music played within the tenant space will not create a nuisance to adjacent tenants or adjacent properties. Again, they do have just one tenant adjacent to them that shares a wall. I believe the music in Workout Anytime is more of background music, but our petitioner, Kenneth Moy, can explain more of that during his presentation. For number 4, staff does not have an expert opinion for this standard. For number 5, the Park Hill Plaza development has been in existence for over 30 years, and the necessary facilities for the site have already been provided. For number 6, the Park Hill Plaza again has been in existence for over 30 years, and the amount of open space required at the time of the approval has been provided. For number 7, staff does not have an expert opinion for this standard. For number 8, staff has not identified additional standards or requirements for the proposed special use. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you.
And for the record, is staff satisfied with the petitioner's responses to the findings of fact?
Yes, I believe so. And the petitioner is prepared to supply any other additional answers to questions you may have related to the standards at this presentation.
Thank you. Would the petitioner, if they're here, like to make a presentation? Your name and address for the record, sir.
First name is Kenneth, last name is Moy.
Kenneth Moy.
With Workout Anytime. Applying for a special usage permit for a gym building that's over 5,000 square feet. Like Stephanie said, we're looking for a gym, and something that we need to have to use is this building that has over gym members, and it will be open 24/7, staffed certain hours, and there'll be security cameras there monitoring the gym 24/7 as well too. The music will be played at a lower volume for the members to enjoy during the workout, and obviously you need some excitement in the gym to cater to the gym members as well too. With that in mind, our goal of opening up a gym in Orland Park is to also brand awareness of health through the younger population, and also provide a community for the older clientele as well, and to reach out to communities and emphasize the importance of health, fitness, and overall well-being to better educate their culture of longevity. We hope to do that through Workout Anytime and being available 24/7, where the gym members can go at their leisure, and when they're ready, the gym will be there for them to use at their disposal. And the fees are relatively low, so it can appeal to most of the general public as well too.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Are there any, not for you, sir. Are there any objectors or any interested parties that would like to, that have been sworn in and have any questions or objections or any comments about this? Seeing that there aren't, I will poll our commission members. Commissioner Zamparelli, any comments or questions?
Just one, basically, I frequent this plaza often, and a little concerned on the parking right there. It seems like there's only, I think 18 right in front of the building, and then they're a little bit further east. You're saying you need 31. I know that, are you comfortable with that many spots? I'm just feeling there's not enough parking. It's going to get a little bit tight over there.
Absolutely, and that's the advantage of being 24/7, is that the gym members can come, for example, I go at 3:30 in the morning. I'm the rare occasion, but it's available 24/7. At the most, the gym occupies, during peak hours, 12 to 15 people in there. So that's the nice thing about being, like I said, being open 24/7. You're going to have the people coming in and out depending on their workload and their schedules, which is fantastic.
A great spot, you know.
So to answer my question, I'm not really concerned with the
Okay,
parking.
very good, thank you.
Having said that, to your knowledge, is there any shared parking agreement with that plaza?
It's under the same ownership, so there is, I believe, just the property owner saying that tenants are free to use
Okay.
those spaces.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Schuster?
If you're a 24/7 operation, do you have a staff member that's there 24/7?
No, we do not. We have staff, so from Monday through Friday, it'll be staff from 7 to 9 p.m. On the weekends, it'll be staff from 8 to 6. But during that, they'll have a key code to get in through the door, and without the key code, you can't get in. And then there'll also be surveillance cameras as well, too, monitoring the gym. All of our other gyms are staffed this way, and have been very, if any, problems being staffed and having the security cameras and the key code to get in through these doors.
How many other facilities do you have?
In Illinois, there are 8. There's 2 in Naperville, 1 in Mundelein, 1 in Buffalo Grove, Darien, and Downers Grove, and Crest Hill.
Is the operation similar to what Charter Fitness, for example? Is it a similar type of,
As far as the price point, yes.
oh, not the price point, just the facility that you offer, the exercises that are, the machinery that's available?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Shalaby?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have 2 quick questions for staff. Stephanie, you don't think there's any concern about a 24-hour facility being specifically in that location, right? No adverse effect to that location being 24 hours?
No, usually the most common conflict with a gym especially is music, if they intend to have loud music. This is a more ideal location because it is an end unit, and the hours of operation for the adjacent tenant end, I believe, at 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. I think it was 10 to 8 are their hours every day.
I do share a concern also about parking, because I've been in this plaza hundreds of times, and I think that it's a little bit tight there, but otherwise, I think it's a great improvement of the space. I mean, I definitely wish you luck in that location.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, if it's busy there, that means there's excitement. That means there's something going on in Orland Park.
Yeah, I think it helps
It helps.
the mall, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to do, is bring revenue and build excitement and create a culture for Orland Park.
Great improvement of the space. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good, I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Shalaby. Commissioner Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What would you say would be the peak hours? When you said, because you mentioned
5 to 7
5 to 7?
after work. And then in the morning time, from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., the people who go to work out before they have work, depending on their route of travel for business.
And you feel confident that there's enough parking? Because I'm thinking later wouldn't be a problem, because a lot of that retail is going to be closed. I think the automotive places don't stay open too late.
I do.
Those places will all be available at 5 o'clock. I mean, I don't have any problem. I think it's a great location for what you're trying to do. There's really no residents that are that close to it. Even if you want to play the music, who cares? It's not going to really disturb anybody. You sound confident that you have good surveillance in them. You have other locations. Do we know of any, are there issues with those locations?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay, I think it's a good idea, and it's a good use for the space. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Paul. Commissioner Robin?
Thank you, sir. I have no problem with this whatsoever, and if I read this correctly, the special use meets the 8 standards that are set forth in our land development code. And I look on the page up and down, there are no conditions attached to it. So obviously, staff is very comfortable with this, so.
Thank you.
End of story.
Thank you. Well, I concur with my commissioners. I kind of had some of the same questions. And I too feel that, I'm always happy to see when we have vacant retail space being filled. It's a win-win. And so I concur, and I would entertain a motion at this time.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Schussler.
Regarding case number 2018-0543, also known as Workout Anytime Special Use Permit, I move to accept and make findings of fact for a special use as discussed at this Plan Commission meeting and within the staff report dated September 21, 2018. And I further move to recommend to the Village Board approval of a special use permit for Workout Anytime to operate a 5,948 square foot health club fitness center at 9234 through 9240 159th Street in the Park Hill Plaza Commercial Center within the BIZ zoning district. The Planning Commission finds that this proposed special use meets the 8 standards set forth in Section 5-105.E of the Land Development Code.
Second.
Motion and second by Commissioner Paul. Commissioner Shalby?
Aye.
Commissioner Robin?
Aye.
Commissioner Zapparelli?
Aye.
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 Unanimous. Yes, you made the motion. Okay, I move that we close the public hearing on item 2018-0543 at this time.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now I move that we open the public hearing, number 2018-0582, CTF Illinois, special use permit.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good. Staff?
Thank you, Chairman. We are now in the public hearing for CTF Illinois, which is case 2018-0582. And again, I'd like to confirm for the record that this public hearing was properly noticed by both the village with the newspaper ad as well as the petitioner
Thank
through
you.
their mailings and their public hearing notice sign.
Thank you.
To begin our presentation, just have the aerial image here that you had in your packet. This is the proposed site for CTF Illinois. It was the St. Xavier site that was approved back in 2002. Just a second here. I don't want that to start doing things, sorry.
Okay.
So we do have Orland Parkway to kind of the southeast of the site and LaGrange Road further east. You can see 179th Street to the north. And we do have some vacant land surrounding this and some trails off to the west in a Cook County park. Here is a closer 3D view of the site from Google, and you can see the building there as well as the parking field and the drive aisle that leads out to the east to Orland Parkway. CTF Illinois is seeking a special use permit to operate a 32,074 square foot vocational school within the Regional Mixed Use Campus, or RMC zoning district, at 18230 Orland Parkway. Again, 32,074 square feet is their tenant space. The land size is about 14.85 acres. And they're in the I-80 Employment Planning District in our comprehensive plan, which calls for a community and institutional use at this location. The zoning is RMC. Again, they're looking to do a vocational school, and you've got Orland Parkway and LaGrange Road as your nearest streets. This project is also at the Plan Commission stage, similar to our last. Coming after this is ordinance approval, authorizations and building permits, construction and inspections, and project closeout. Here are some photos of the site. You can see the ornamental light fixtures in the parking lot here, landscaping throughout the site. It's actually surrounded by quite a lot of naturalized landscaping and almost tucked back away from the main road. If you had a chance to visit the site, you'd kind of see it looks very pretty back there, actually. And you have a one-story brick building here. And let me just go through some of the project description for you. So the petitioner is looking to do a vocational school. They are not looking to make changes to the site plan, parking lot, landscaping, or building elevations as part of this project. However, if you looked through their project narrative, you can see that they are wishing to complete a expansion of the building in the future, which will come back to you as part of phase 2. Some interior remodeling will occur as part of them moving into the space. Specifically, I believe just some converting classrooms and installing new flooring. So pretty minor interior build-out changes. The only exterior changes would be tenant signage, which would again comply with the village's sign code. As I said previously, this was originally approved. This particular site was for St. Xavier's South Campus in 2002, which originally included 18 classrooms, offices, a cyber cafe, and obviously the existing building and parking lot and surrounding open space that you see on the site. We were told that the reason that St. Xavier was no longer in operation is due to the popularity of online learning. So it freed up an opportunity for CTF to be looking at the site to use it for their educational day programs. So a special use permit is required for a vocational school. And just so everyone in the audience is familiar with our definition, we do define it in our land development code as a secondary or higher education facility primarily teaching usable skills that prepare students for jobs in a trade or business and does not provide lodging or dwelling units for students or faculty. The term vocational schools does not include schools that teach repair skills for automobiles or other types of heavy machinery that require garage and or outdoor workspace. So again, this does require a special use permit in this particular RMC zoning district, which is why we're here tonight for the petitioner's request. The proposed use does conform to the village's comprehensive plan because it is a compatible use and it is a community/institutional type use, which if you look at our comprehensive plan, it calls out that specific type of use for this area. I'll let the petitioner talk more about their business operations and exactly what CTF provides to the community. So I'll move on to parking. And let me just pull up our site plan here. So you can see a very large 318 space parking field here. Based on the information they've provided today for their needs, there is a requirement of 2 parking spaces per classroom and 1 parking space for every 2 students. So their parking requirement is 134 spaces. So they do have quite an excess of parking, which will suit them in the future if they wish to expand. So really quickly, I want to go over the standards for this project as well. For standard number 1, the land use is a vocational school and complies with the village's comprehensive plan, which calls for community/institutional land uses on the site. The proposed project does not include any changes to the site and does not include any requests for modifications from village codes. For number 2, the site has existed for about 15 years and is consistent with the village's comprehensive plans and vision for the character of the remaining undeveloped parcels in the vicinity. The proposed special use is consistent with the land uses identified in the comprehensive plan. For number 3, the petitioner is not proposing any design changes to the property except for new tenant signage. All new tenant signage will meet the village's sign code. Additional site changes will be reviewed by the village through an appearance review or through a formal development petition process, depending on the scope. For number 4, staff does not have an expert opinion on this standard. For number 5, again, the site has been in existence for about 15 years, and the necessary facilities for the site have already been provided. For number 6, the site has again existed for over 15 years, and the amount of open space required at the time of the development approval has been provided already. For number 7, staff also does not have an expert opinion for this standard. And for our last standard, number 8, staff has not identified additional standards or requirements for the petitioner's proposed special use. And that concludes the staff presentation.
So for the records, staff has presented standards and findings of facts, and are satisfied with the petitioners addressing those standards and findings of fact.
I'm sorry, can you speak up?
And you are, I'm sorry, I should speak in a mic. You presented your standards and findings of fact. You're satisfied with the petitioners addressing those findings.
Yes.
Thank you. Would the petitioner like to make a presentation? Good, we'd like to hear you. Would you state your name and address, please, for our records?
Sure. My name is Mary Pat Ambrosino, and my home address is 9838 Volkers in Frankfort, Illinois, and our corporate address is 6775 Prosperity Drive in Tinley Park.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, first I want to say good evening, and thank you. My name is Mary Pat Ambrosino, and I am the Executive Director of Community Services Foundation and the CEO of CTF Illinois. With me today, I have Eric. He does not want to speak, but I'm going to make him. First and foremost, I want to thank you for, allowing us to apply for this special use permit. And I also want to thank the staff of Orland Park. Your development service staff is phenomenal. Stephanie, Ed, and Carrie. We have a lot of questions. We had a lot. They were there with us. They're a great group of people, and we couldn't have done it without them, so thank you very much. I just want to give kudos to a good staff. CTF,
Hold on just a second.
Community Services Foundation and CTF Illinois, in collaboration, is requesting a special use permit for the fact that, with all intent purposes, on October 3rd, 2018, the foundation will purchase St. Xavier University. St. Xavier is a private university right now, and for our purposes, we would like to transform that into a wonderful vocational, educational learning center for people with intellectual disabilities. The focus of this program is going to be teaching our individuals art and the fine art, for we truly believe over 50 years of service that when in these arts and the fine arts, when there's self-expression, it creates self-confidence, self-esteem, therefore independence, and people are ready to move into the community or live in the community or work in the community. For all intent purposes, we are going to call our program RITA, which means RITA, which stands for Realizing Integration Through the Arts. Technology and Mary Pat. Okay, here we go. Just this one?
Yep.
Okay. Before I get into the guts of RITA, I want to tell you who CSF and CTF are. For all intent purposes, we are one entity. We are a brother-sister agency. Community Services Foundation was established in 1989. We're a 501c3 public foundation whose sole purpose is to support everything about CTF Illinois. CTF Illinois is a private contractor with the state of Illinois. We support individuals with disabilities and chronic mental illness, and it was established in 1971. And because we are a brother-sister relationship, there's one caveat that IRS says: you need one leader. So I get to wear two hats. I'm the executive director of the foundation and I'm the CEO of CTF Illinois, so I work a lot of hours to make this work. On a side note, CSF means Community Services Foundation. CTF Illinois means the CTF, a lot of people ask us, and it just means CTF. It used to be Charleston Transitional Services. It started actually in Charleston, Illinois, but with the growth, you'll see we are throughout Illinois at this time. We're just simply CTF Illinois. A little bit about Community Services Foundation. We are the entity that provides property management, fundraising, and wealth management services. Our property management, we have 34 silo homes throughout Illinois. Silo homes are community integrated living arrangements. To you, you might know them as group homes. They're for individuals to live within the community, in a home and community. We range from 4 individuals to 8 individuals. And we have homes as far north as Frankfort, Illinois, as far south as Olney, Illinois, and as far west as Lincoln, Illinois. We also own 13 day support programs, facilities They range from 1,500 square feet to 40,000 square feet, and they're also in the communities where our residents reside. These are just some pictures of the homes and facilities that we own. This one's in Richmond Park. Flossmoor. It just gives you an idea of the type of homes that our residents live in. And this is one of our facilities. It's on Oak Park Avenue in Tinley Park. The other part of the Community Services Foundation, how we support CTF, is we're a basic foundation that does a lot of special events to raise funds. We have your basic golf outings, we have your 5Ks, we also have an annual Make-A-Match program, and we're starting an honor, that looks like Tiger Woods, but it's not. And we also have an honor society program where people sponsor each individual solo home and become friends with the individuals who live there. By the way, our golf outing was rained out twice this summer.
Yeah.
So whereas the foundation is the fundraising arm and the property manager, CTF is actually the support arm of the whole organization. They're the organization that provides all the supports with our individuals. In the 34 homes, we have 186 residents. In our 13-day programs, we support 515 participants. Our day programs are, as I said, as small as 1,500 square feet. We have art galleries, we have advocacy centers. We have, in Charleston, Illinois, we have a craft store that's all for retail. Our larger programs are, we have a 40,000 square foot building in Tinley Park, and we do small manufacturing and production there. So if anyone's a marathon runner, Chicago Marathon, we're the goodie bag people. So after you run your 26 miles, we're the ones who put the goodie bags together. We have also 134 families throughout Illinois that we provide home-based services for. These are the families where their individuals live at home and simply need help maneuvering the Medicaid system, getting wheelchairs for their individuals, adapting their vans. And in South Highland, we have a mental health facility that serves over 100 adults. These are just some pictures of residents in their homes. Put these in there. So out of all the bid options we can do, you know, you might ask us why the arts? And as I mentioned before, the greatest opportunity for an individual with an intellectual disability is to give them the self-confidence, to give them the self-esteem, to allow them to work in the community. And we have found that there are, you know, our production sites, they can work. We have community employment sites that we have the resumes. For those individuals, though, where self-expression means everything, it's that next step. Teaching them the arts just sets them on their way to living in the community. It's an easy fact for us. It might be something hard for someone to understand. But even if you have students who were in the arts, you can see how they just grow and expand. And I just want to give you a Williams story. We had a group of families or a group of women that came in our Tinley Park location, and they started in our program. And all of a sudden, this one individual, William, drew this incredible Santa Claus. He probably had an intellectual capability of a 7-year-old. We're like, whoa. So we took a corkboard and we painted it. And so on that corkboard, he made this most wonderful, beautiful landscaping scene. And I'm like, dang, I'm like, what kind of talents do we have and we just don't even know because all we do is have them fill goodie bags, right? So I'm like, we have to have more than this. We have to find hidden talents, and just because you have an intellectual disability doesn't mean you don't have somewhere inside of you a talent that nobody knows about. So we opened that art gallery in Oak Park. William worked there. The good part of the story is he worked there for 2 weeks and drew pictures, and then he's like, I'm working at Wendy's. And so now he's, to this day, he has a job in the community working at Wendy's. So we just want to expand, we just want to know what their talents are, and we are a true believer now that, you know, self-expression has no limits. I think I just... And here's just some of the, this is in our art gallery. This is just, you can see some of the work that they actually do. We, of course, have a CTF's Got Talent, where we have singers and musicians and choir directors and dancers. And this other picture just, I think, gives you 1,000 words. We just have fun with what we do. I think it's why 18230 Orland Parkway. In regards to, you know, Stephanie indicated about the standards, and to us, it was the biggest wow moment we've ever had. It was when we walked upon that center, that facility, we said, oh my gosh, you know, what a beautiful building it is, what a beautiful landscaping, and very rarely does a person with an intellectual disability be able to go into a facility that just shows them 100% respect. It's a fully accessible for us. It is one level. We don't get that often. It is inviting not only to us, but it's going to invite the public. And we just hope that because it's so inviting to the public that we will receive the volunteers that we so deserve. And what we hope to do with our art and dance program is not only invite our individuals, but to invite the public at large to come and join us. You know, we're a cool group of people, and just let it out. Smith Crossing is right down the street. You know, it's just, to us, just a wonderful and a beautiful mix. And of course, by the pictures of it, it is large enough for us to expand. We hope to expand to the left, and at the end of the day, the biggest vision we have is for creating a small community theater for not only us to use, but the community at large to come. And there's so many community theater groups around here who would love to have that space to come and be a part of that type of program, and we just say, come on in. We do nothing but welcome the community. It's basically, right now, it's a public university. We're not changing the learning environment. We're just changing the people who learn inside of it. That's all we're asking. I'm going to bring on Eric now. He's going to kind of tell you the guts of Rita and exactly what we plan to do there. Because I have to say, we are going to be very unique in our industry, in the landscaping of your typical community day program. And Eric and his staff has put so much work into it. I'd just like you to hear it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You just state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Eric Edquist, and I live at 1343 West Grand Avenue in Chicago. So good evening, Commission. Thanks for your time. I've been with CTF Illinois now for 15 years. This is a very exciting program. So this is going to change the way that day programs are run. What we're doing here is pretty cutting edge. There's a lot of services for people with intellectual disabilities in the school setting now, but once you get to the adult age, a lot of those services dry up. So one thing that CTF Illinois is doing is creating choices for people. So as Mary Pat spoke about, we have our art program, we have our advocacy program, we have a production program, we have a community employment, we have a program that's specifically for people with the dual diagnosis, and now we're going to have an art program with an academic undertone there, hopefully at this Orland Park site. So a little bit about this program. So it's kind of, along with the seniors program there, it's going to be twofold. So we're going to have the art part that's going to have 4 classes / programs within there. So you're going to have a dance studio, music studio, art class, and a drama class. And we hired an art director that's going to create a curriculum that cross-references all of those with the theme of a play. So the idea is our semester will be working on the play Chicago. So everything will work together. So the drama class will be working on the roles of that play. The art class will be working on creating the costumes, creating the stage for that, the music, and then the dance studio, the dances there. So once we complete that, then that is what we plan on, bringing to the public, bringing to guardians, family members, and to our agency. So the other component of it is the educational piece, because the educational piece usually dries up when people move on from high school. So we've created an age-appropriate curriculum for people with intellectual disabilities. So just a quick few pieces of that, and I think I'm just talking right through all this. So just a few pieces of that. So everything's designed with working with people with intellectual disabilities. So we have a current events program that is a web-based program specifically built for people with disabilities. So it's something that's up to date every day. It goes over world events, and it's designed for people of all levels to work on it. And it's interactive, where not only they can use worksheets to walk through the day, or they can use their own computers or iPads or whatever it is. We have a Discovering Hobbies class that's going to focus on gardening, pet care, sports, leisure activities, not only to improve and build on people's skills, but then also open some new ideas for people. We will have a technology class that teaches hardware and software, along with teaching them, how to navigate the computer safely, accessing information, communicating, through technology, job readiness program, and exercise wellness, and then life skills. So that's what we're excited to bring to Orland Park. There's a lot of agencies out there that do not provide that. So, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And I'd like to thank you both for a really professional, wonderful presentation, and for giving us a more detailed insight into what exactly you're about. Very helpful. Thanks much.
Thank you for your time.
This time, I would ask if there are any objectors or interested persons who've been sworn in who would like to ask the petitioner any questions about the presentation. Just name and address for the record.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, my name is Patrick O'Malley. My address is 12314 South 86th Avenue in Palos Park.
Thank you.
60464.
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure that I'm here as an objector per se, but I am a neighboring landowner.
Okay.
The land that my wife and I enjoy is approximately 110 neighboring acres. My father-in-law has another 40 acres that neighbors this property too. I don't want to question whether or not notices went out. I'm sure they did go out. I want you to know that my father-in-law did not receive his. I appreciate that there's an affidavit. I'm sure every effort was made to get it out, and he's not complaining that he didn't get notice. But occasionally, landowners do not get notices. And that's proof of a 40-acre adjacent landowner who did not get notice of this hearing. For the O'Malley family and the Stump family, we're extremely disappointed, not in the good works that this particular organization does, but that the substantial amount of acreage that was donated to St. Xavier University and their mission to bring that to Orland Park was abandoned summarily by St. Xavier's University. I'm sure and it should be, a big disappointment to the village of Orland Park. And most importantly, it should be a disappointment to those of us who want to see the regional mixed-use campus concept here as fully developed as it possibly can be. Now, that comment is not to take away from the good work that CTF Illinois and, is it CSF? Yes. That they do not only in Tinley Park and throughout the state of Illinois, where they provide services to persons with disabilities. I am myself a father of a 44-year-old daughter who's profoundly disabled, and I'm grateful for all the work that people in this area do. But again, I would say that we're disappointed that higher education isn't the use that was, what was intended for here, is going to be abandoned from the site and from Orland Park, because this was a great, great gift by my father-in-law and mother-in-law over 20 years ago to make this a reality. So I'm here to express that disappointment to this Plan Commission. And believe me, it's not something that we welcome. It's not something we're happy about. It all happened at great expense to the Stump and O'Malley family. I still am not convinced that the good work that this organization can do at this location is what the intent was of the regional mixed-use campus. I'm not here asking you, as the Plan Commission, to turn this down or to approve it. I'm just asking you to think about what we, as people who were invited as landowners to come into the village of Orland Park with this property, to see a certain dream that the village had in mind for it become a reality. And I'd like you to keep that in mind anytime you're dealing with property on the area. I have another request. I have some specific requests of CTF for clarification for us. But I would encourage that if there are major changes in use or uses to be made, especially where special uses are called for, that we be invited into the process. We're not a small partner in the regional mixed-use campus. To this day, we continue to be the major party involved if you're going to measure it by acreage. So I'd ask that consideration in the future. I learned more about this project tonight. 99% of what I know about that project was learned by coming here this evening and listening. But I could have been involved in the process, and my family members could have been involved in it up front in a more meaningful way. And what happens out there affects Orland Park, but it affects us too. So we'd like to be included in the process earlier on, and we'd just like your consideration towards that. As far as the petitioner goes, there's a driveway that runs east and west and brings you access to Orland Parkway. Are you aware that that driveway is accessible to the property to the west? Just curious whether you're aware of that.
Is that when you first turn right and you go into that long driveway off of Orland Parkway? That was a part of the, yeah, I had the same question when we were doing the title. Is it this one right here, this long driveway?
No.
You're aware of it?
I am, and that was like number 2 in the development, and that was a whole title.
With all due respect, could you, if you would just address your comments and one another to the members of this commission, please?
We are aware of that.
Can you go to the microphone so that they can get it on the recording?
Sure. We
Thank you.
were aware of that issue, and it is issued in our title. And so there is a caveat in the title. It's a lot of legalese, but when somebody is developing their property, then they receive notification that we are the ones that own that property.
Okay.
But we know it's for common easement. And I would just like to make a comment that I apologize for not inviting you, but I did meet with Mr. Stump personally, even before all this process began. So I did meet with Mr. Stump.
Well, you don't have to apologize to me.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not asking
I just
for
want,
that.
your family was.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, could they clarify the road issue? Senator O'Malley, are you indicating that the property to the west has access to has an easement over the private drive? Is that what you're saying?
That's correct, Mr.
Okay,
Schuster.
thank you.
That's been addressed in the title policy.
And you understand that, and when that develops, somebody may be using that
Correct.
driveway? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'd like,
Yeah.
I would hope that that's reflected in these minutes, because I don't want to be surprised later on by anybody that they're
Yeah.
not informed of that. That's an
Right.
important It's an important privilege that we enjoy, and it's a burden on their property. I don't want any disappointment by that or confusion. And I also, just for clarification for our family, the vacant land adjacent to that driveway, you can see the green space along the south end of the property. Do they have intentions for that? They have mentioned, for instance, a community theater. And for background on that, that was intended to be a site of a chapel that was going to be built there as part of St. Sab's, and one of the commitments they made to my grandfather.
I can't address that since it's not part of this petition.
Sorry.
I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking if they have any plans for it. I'd be curious if it could be shared. They may have no plans tonight for it. I know they're not.
Reiterate.
I thought I could ask questions of the petitioner. And
I mean, at such time as...
they may have no intentions, Mr. Chairman, right at this moment,
Correct.
and that's fine.
Correct, and at such time as, if that issue should surface, then there'd be the proper notification sent out at that time.
Okay.
We good?
No, I'm surprised a simple question like that couldn't be answered. But I'll ask it separate from this hearing. I think it's good to have records of things, and that's what this hearing causes. So, but I thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thank you. Mr. O'Malley, we've noted all your comments and appreciate your taking the time to express your opinions and attend this meeting. That's what we're here for. And we have all your comments as a matter of record. Stephanie, there's a process, if there's any further special use permits or anything, that the adjacent landowners will be notified?
That's part of the public hearing notification procedure that we already mandate, is that all properties within 300 feet of this parcel receive notification. The petitioner is in charge of sending certified letters to that address list of those properties within 300 feet. We can, I believe, get a list from the petitioner if there's any questions.
That would be good, just to make sure that the interested parties are duly notified. There seems to be an issue there, and just so we can double check on that.
Yes, they also post a sign at their property. I'm sure you've seen them around town, notifying of the public hearing date.
Yes, I do.
As well as the village's phone number if anyone has questions. And staff we have our village attorney post a newspaper ad in the legal notice section of the local newspaper, which is the Orland Park Prairie.
Well, thank you. I'll go to our commissioners now for any comments or questions. Commissioner Schuessler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's unfortunate that St. Xavier has made the decision to shutter this facility and pull out of Orland Park. I was at the dedication of that building. It's a beautiful building, and I can understand why Senator O'Malley's family would be concerned with that, but we have no control over that, as he knows, and he's mentioned in his comments. There is, however, a need for the type of services that the petitioner will provide to the community. We have a very robust special education, special recreation department here that provides services to that clientele. And I think it's about 8 or 10 years ago, when I was on the village board, we had an overflow meeting in this room from parents who had children in the special recreation program. When I say children, they had, well, yeah, they were children, but some of them were not minors. They were aging out of educational services, and these parents were concerned with what they were going to do to keep these children, these young adults, occupied. And they really pressed us hard to expand the special recreation program to provide the type of services that you're talking about here. And we unfortunately had to say no, that our special rec individuals were qualified to provide special rec services, but not the type of services that they were asking for. So I think you will find an immediate acceptance within the community of your programs, and I think you will have no trouble filling your classes, and you may be quite amazed at how quickly they fill up, because there is a need for this, and I think the community recognizes the need, and you'll find immediate acceptance. That's a statement, I guess. My question is about the theater you referenced. That is another need in this community. We have, as I think somebody mentioned, maybe you mentioned it in your comments, we have community theater groups that have no home. There's a group here in Orland Park. There's one in Palos Park, and both of them provide their programs out of substandard facilities, buildings that are purposed for other things that don't really serve theater very well. How big of a theater are you envisioning? I'm happy to hear you say that you would make it available to the community if you were to be able to build it. Obviously, this has to go through a long vetting process. You have to raise funds. I think you might find that it might be easier to raise the funds with that concept in mind, where it would be more of a community thing available to the community in addition to your use for your programs. Just generally, what size are you thinking about? Not to pin you down, that might change a month from now, a year from now, 5 years from now.
My initial thoughts were 250 seat, and I was told by community theater members that more like 350, but that's just an idea. The whole idea of the concept of community theater more is we know that they're in the schools and they're limited to their schedules, and this way, if they want to put on a production of Annie, they can put it on all month. The seating wouldn't have to be that much because they can have more shows.
Well, if your facility is in Tinley, you realize that Andrew has a beautiful performing arts facility, Carl Sandburg does, Stagg does. They're not available to the community. When they try and schedule it, they say, well, we got this conflict, we got that conflict, our person can't run the lights, and we need him to do the lights, and blah, 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 blah. So, the taxpayers paid millions of dollars for those theaters, and we can't use them, which is unfortunate. But I think a 250 to 350 seat theater would get immediate acceptance within the community. And the community would, I think, help you realize that vision. Those are my only comments, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, I appreciate them, very useful. By the way, would there be any further special uses required depending on the size of the theater?
So any expansion to the building would have to come back to the Plan Commission Committee and Board for approvals in the future. We haven't looked into exactly what approvals would be required because we don't know the full scope of the project. Okay. But it will have to come back for some type of public hearing.
Go through the entire process again.
Correct.
Great. Thank you very much. Commissioner Shalaby.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As per my interpretation and exposure received tonight on the work of CTF, I see that the programs, the interactive educational and vocational involvement, are very unique in servicing a demographic of the community that's obviously in great desire and need to be serviced. I think that it's also nice to see that the building meets a lot of CTF's physical needs. So I think it was great exposure for me personally, so I thank you for that exposure tonight and to see the great work that you're doing, and I wish you continued success with this project. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Zamparelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of little questions. How does this compare to like Saratoma? I'm familiar with Saratoma. Is it similar at all?
Better. We are a Sertoma or a Park Lawn or a Misericordia, but each of us within the industry, we have our own niches. And, we, as Eric said, I think we're one of the agencies that are pretty progressive in Illinois, that we are finding, whether our smaller facilities or our larger facilities, we're just finding each facility has its own niche, and when people have choices, they get to go where they want to go and do what they want to do.
What kind of age group then?
Over 18
Over 18 to,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
How do they get there?
vans. We provide the transportation.
Okay.
And family members provide transportation. And, yeah, pretty much so with the 315, parking spots, we consider for every 12 people, they come in one van.
Great. Well, before I forget, thank you for all you do. I think that's awesome, and I definitely think there's a need.
Okay.
And I have to agree with my partner over here, Mr. Schuessler. I belong to the Orland Park Theater Troupe, and we can definitely use a theater.
Thanks.
Thank
We're
you.
curtain call people, so I know.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can sympathize with Mr. O'Malley and family, and I can understand their disappointment that things didn't work out with St. Xavier's as maybe it was anticipated when this was all done initially. I think given why they did that, it's another victim, I guess, of the internet, if you want to call it that. It's probably not likely that you're going to see any other college-type facility wanting to go in there. We've got some folks here who do some great work and want to use that, and I think it's a great idea. I think it's an excellent place for it, and I hope you do well there.
Thank you.
That's all I
you.
have.
Commissioner Robin.
My fellow commissioners have expressed some of the same things that I would say, but I'll be the boring guy. The special use meets the 8 standards of our land development code, and as I look at the motions, there are no conditions applied here. So obviously, Orland Park and its staff is happy with the project, and again, I concur with my fellow commissioners on what you're trying to do, how you're going to go about accomplishing it. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
And I also concur with my commissioners, and once again, I really appreciate the presentation and really admire the work that you're doing. There's a large population in need of these services, and I just think it's actually from a Orland Park point of view, I view it as a feather in our cap. And it wasn't too long ago we had. You mentioned you're going to have small living, like homes and everything. I don't know, might have been a couple of years, but we had a group home at St. Coletta's put one in on in Orland Park, and gosh knows there was a lot of concern back and forth, whatnot, property value, this and that, and it's actually it's worked out real well, and most importantly, you're giving challenged adults a better chance at living a full life, and I really admire your work.
Thank you.
So at this time, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Aubin.
regarding case number 2018-0582, also known as CTF Illinois Special Use Permit, I move to accept and make findings of fact for a special use as discussed at this Plan Commission meeting and within the staff report dated September 21st, 2018. And I move to recommend to the Village Board approval of a special use permit for CTF Illinois to operate a 32,074 square foot vocational school at 18230 Orland Parkway within the Regional Mixed Use Campus RMC zoning district. The Plan Commission finds that the proposed special use meets the 8 standards set forth in our Section 105.E of the Land Development Code.
Do I have a second to Commissioner Aubin's?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zamparelli. Commissioner Paul?
Aye.
Commissioner Chalabi?
Aye.
Commissioner Schuessler?
Aye.
And aye as well. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for participating in this discussion. And at this point, I move that we close the public hearing on petition number 2018-0582.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We move on to non-public hearings.
Good night.
Yes, good night. We have a memo on new petitions and parents review. Trying to find it myself. Oh, here we go. doesn't need to be any action taken at this time. It's informative for us. So unless anybody would like to make any comments on these, I would move that we, do you have any comments, Commissioner? So you look like you want to say something.
No, I was going to second your motion.
Oh.
Second.
I move that we adjourn at 8:10 PM. And a second by Commissioner Schuessler, and nobody's objecting. Thank you so much. Thank you. I guess, yeah, there are. Yeah, I think you update your book.